Hello, this is Mrs. Sherry, and today we're going to talk about unit rates. Unit means one. So in a rate, you can probably see the word ratio, that they share this, R-A-T, ratio, and the rate for one. So unit rates, ratios, there's a word that's familiar to you, that compare units of one quantity to one unit of another. So it depends. The however many of the first, kind of like miles per gallon. When you see the price on the sign at the gas station, it's showing us a unit rate. It's saying what the price is, like $2.39 per gallon. Sometimes also with your car, the adult in your home might figure miles per gallon. What's the mileage? We usually do that when we're on trips. We will figure what kind of gas mileage are we getting. Or also with your car, miles per hour, the speedometer on your car, that's a unit rate. It's showing how many miles per hour that you are traveling. So some examples of just a ratio. One way you can do a ratio is with the two dots or the colon. So 2 cats for every dog. 37 jelly beans in each bag or per bag. So the per, miles per hour, that per is what tells you that you've got a rate. Ratios can also be written in the form of a fraction. So pause right now the video. Please get out your interactive notebook. Go to the table of contents. Find the first open number and please write down unit rates. Then open up your interactive notebook to whatever the first open pages are, and you can take notes on one side while you watch this, and we will have an entry that we'll do together in class on the other side. Okay, if you're on this slide, that means that you must have your interactive notebook out in front of you, and you've got the table of contents updated, that it says unit rates. You've got that down there. A unit rate is a ratio that compares two measurements, and the second one is going to be one. Remember, that's the whole unit rate. It's the idea that it is per one. So we talked about miles per hour before, blinks per second, calories per serving. That would be on food labels when you look on the nutritional information. Steps per day. Lots of people strive to get 10,000 steps per day. So your steps you're figuring out. So you can write down examples, and you could put down any of these examples that I've shared so far, so that you've got examples of unit rates. So again, a unit rate, unit meaning one, the rate for one. A unit rate tells the rate in lowest terms, and you all are familiar with that, putting fractions in lowest terms, or the amount for one. So the whole idea is whenever you have a unit rate, the denominator is going to be 1. So if we traveled 90 miles in 5 hours, that means we were going 18 miles per hour. So probably that would be somebody biking, I would think. We probably aren't going to drive 18 miles an hour for 5 hours unless you're going through some curvy mountain road or something. And we certainly could not sustain walking 18 miles per hour. But here's an example. You can write them in fraction form instead of the ratio form with the colon. And again, you're putting your fraction in lowest terms. And when it's a unit rate, it means that the denominator is 1. So the idea of a plain rate is just when you're comparing two quantities with different units. So when we said 90 miles in 5 hours, that's a rate, a plain old rate. What makes a unit rate special is that it is how much for one, or it has one as the denominator. So for instance, if you are shopping, and a lot of stores now on the shelves will even put the unit rate right on the price tag on the shelf. So you should look for that the next time you're in the grocery store. You can see which ketchup is the better buy, or which candy bar is the better buy. How much are you paying per ounce, usually is how that would be shown. So for example, if we could get 24 pencils for $1.20, price per pencil, and remember the fraction bar says per, so $1.20 per 24 pencils. So the idea is if we want to get our denominator as 1, well, 24 divided by what is 1 itself, and whatever you do to one you have to do to the other. So $1.20 divided by 24, that gives us 5 cents. So at this rate here, our package of 24 pencils for $1.20, that tells us that each pencil would be 5 cents. If you would flip-flop this, if we want to see, well, how many pencils could I get for $1? Maybe there's loose pencils in a bin and you've got $1, and they say that 24 pencils are $1.20, but you've got $1. So how many could you pick? So if we have $1.20 as our denominator, then we need to divide that by 1.2 or 1.20. They just took the 0 off because it's unnecessary here to get 1, because again, a unit rate means the denominator is 1. So that would be 20 pencils per dollar. So if we didn't have to worry about tax, then with your $1 you could get 20 pencils. In the last slide here, so the denominator was 24, so we divided both the denominator and numerator by 24 to get our unit rate. Here our denominator was $1.20, so we divided both our denominator and our numerator by our denominator so that we got 1, and then that changes our top. Then we have our. So please add these two definitions to your interactive notebook. First of all, a plain rate, and again, please pay attention to RAT, ratio, and we've talked about rational numbers also, and fractions and decimals, and you see so far we've talked about lots of fractions and decimals today. So a rate, it's a ratio that compares two quantities measured in different units. So it wouldn't be dollars per dollar or miles per mile or pencils per pencil. It's going to be two different rates. Miles per gallon, or it would be steps per day. Miles per gallon, we could also write this way. You could write it this way, but this would be less often used, just with miles per gallon. Dollars per ounce. So we've got two different units. The unit rate, you still have two different labels or two different units, but the thing that makes this special, remember, is that the denominator D down, the bottom number is 1. So to change a rate to a unit rate, you divide both the numerator, that's the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, by the denominator, and we just practice the unit rate. So please pause, make sure you've got both of these definitions in your notes. Okay, if you're on this page, that means you must have all of your notes so far. You've got examples, you've got dictionary definitions, including the one that has the how-to for transforming a regular rate into a unit rate. Okay, then here, if we look at making this rate into a unit rate, okay, there we go. So here they want us to do miles per gallon. So that means with our fraction bar, We have miles as the numerator, and we have gallon as the denominator. The fraction bar says per. So then our initial rate is 300 miles, and we went that far on 15 gallons of gas. So then remember, the rule is you divide both the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So we're going to divide each of these numbers by 15. So when we do that, we've got 300 divided by 15, 15 divided by 15. And the idea is we're going to get per 1 gallon. 15 divided by 15, that is definitely 1. 300 divided by 15, let's see, 15 goes into 30 twice, and then we've still got that extra 0. So 20 miles per gallon, or in this case, sometimes you've seen it written like this, and a unit rate in the fraction form would be the 20 miles as the numerator, the 1 gallon as the denominator. Let's look at the next one. I'm a Smurf typed 120 words in 3 minutes, and they're telling us that they want us to do words per minute. So our numerator will be words, our denominator will be minutes. So we've got 120 words, that's our numerator, in 3 minutes. And the how-to step of our definitions told us we divide both the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. And our denominator here is 3, so we're going to divide by 3 in both cases. And the idea is we want to end up with 1 of whatever unit for our denominator. That's the idea again, unit rate, 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And so our words will be on top. 120 divided by 3. Think of your basic facts. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then we've still got that 0 there. So 40 words per minute, because again, the fraction bar says per with your rate. Our next example, Dr. Cranium traveled 2,800 miles in 5 hours, and miles per hour. And the fraction bar says what? Yes, it says per. So miles will be our numerator, hours will be our denominator, miles per hour. So we did 2,800 miles in 5 hours. And again, the how-to step tells us that we divide both numerator and denominator by the denominator. Our denominator is 5, so we're going to divide both numbers by 5. And our rate in pink will turn into our unit rate here in yellow. Miles per hour. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So that fits with unit rate. We want our denominator to be 1. So then we need to divide 2,800 by 5. Well, if we look at our basic facts, 28 is not a multiple of 5. So we'll have to do a little more to our previous page here. 560 miles per hour. That is our unit rate. Figuring on that one. So remember our rate then, 2,800 miles in 5 hours, and we use our same trick, top in the box, to do our division. So our top number goes inside our division box, and our bottom number goes on the outside. So 5 does not go into 2, but it goes into 28 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25, excuse me. Subtract and we get 3. Bring down our 0. 5 goes into 36 times. That is 30. As usual, I'm running out of room. And we still have that last 0 there. So 560 is what will go here. So we can go back. Okay, so you should have 3 more examples in your notes. If for some reason you didn't write those down while I was going through them with you, please rewind this. Make sure you have these 3 examples in your notes. And remember, take your notes on one side of your notebook, because on the other side we will put in an example that we'll do together. Math rocks, and so do you. See you next time.